everyone for joining in today, and really excited for an eventful discussion. We have Mani today. Mani, really looking forward to having this exciting format discussion. There's a lot of happening around the space of GTM, AI, and really pumped up to talk today. And how are you feeling?
Doing well. Thanks for having me, Sunil. Looking forward to the conversation here.
Absolutely. So great. So just to set up some context, we'll be having our conversation under 30 minutes time, and then probably we'll move into Q&A, and looking forward to it. So let me share my screen to talk about what we have planned for the audiences today. Just give me a moment.
Sure.
All right. Speaking about audiences, we have Mani. Mani comes with over decades and decades of experience, and he's the founder and CEO at Quanzu. And he has been also a top advisor for different SaaS and AI startups. Mani, would you like to give us a quick insight about your experience? And I've been following your growth journey across the board, and really admire how you have built things across.
Yeah, no, thanks, Sunil. Again, I really appreciate you, putting this together for us to have a dialogue, a discussion. So we've been in the B2B marketing sales tech space for many years. As you know, Quanzu's been around. Early on, we were more in the account-based marketing category. So, we had an account-based advertising platform, tech solution. We were we've been a strong alternative in that area to some of the ABM companies. But more recently, in the last 2.5 years or so, we've pivoted into what we call signal-based outbound automation. So we figured out that the market seems to be shifting, changing. Lots of new kinds of data has become available that can help you understand buyer engagement, buyer behavior at a person level. Certainly in the US market, of course, globally, you still need to a company level. So we've been innovating, investing in the whole area of signal-based, marketing and sales tactics, strategies, approaches, and so forth. And within that, we focus on signal-based outbound. Other than that, as you've called out here, we're really excited. We've been doing a series of podcasts and, of course, video casts or weekly sessions. Every Thursday morning at 8:30, we bring in an AI go-to-market tech founder or a revenue leader. And we talk about how AI is completely transforming go-to-market. So this discussion we're having with you, Sunil, today is very timely.
Awesome. And for the audiences, I think everyone should follow Mani on YouTube. And Mani, really lovely of you sharing your experiences across the board. Great. Talking about what Pixelo does, we are an AI-first go-to-market company where we work with startups, especially in 0 to 1 stage, in scaling their demand gen. Outbound sales is something we really love. We are an official Clay partner. We also run a parallel software company called Prospecto. It's a data intelligence company for finding the right mobiles and email IDs of any prospect in the industry. Great. So moving forward, quickly, I would just talk about our discussion points, right? So where we would like to focus and really like to have real conversation on. So first, Mani, where do you see AI reshaping GTM? What are your first thoughts here?
Oh, man, there's a lot happening there. I mean, literally, I'm sure we can talk about it all through the 30, 40 minutes in different areas. But I see AI reshaping, transforming go-to-market as you know it. The tech stack is completely changing, right? The kind of data that's become available is so different. And that data is completely powering a lot of this new AI technology. The user experience is changing in terms of, as you know, from traditional dashboards to simple English language prompts. And then it's moving to more of a Q&A, prompting type of experience across the board. Then, of course, you're seeing enormous amounts of content creation, content generation becoming a lot easier. So the challenge or the problem is, putting out crappy data, crappy content, right? So, but then I think it's impacting literally across the GTM tech, process, right? All the way from how do you target, engage, bring in the right buyers, right prospects, and have high quality traffic or audiences building on your own website, understanding buyer intelligence, who are these people, what should you, how do you engage with them? all the way to the outbound motion, right? And how do you reach out and engage these folks? Look, across the board, it's completely changing, completely transforming. I know we're gonna be talking about a lot of this, all the way from a lot more. So I'll stop there. And then I know
Yes.
you've got a couple other points. We're going to be talking about the way the teams are
Yes.
changing, the
Yeah.
tools and so on. But yeah, back to you, Sunil.
Absolutely. And I think one of the most curious thing, and when I'm talking to a lot of business leaders and GTM leaders, is how do I structure my team? So we have pulled
Mhm.
some insights on how we can add value to all the audiences today on this.
Correct.
Cool.
Yes. Looking forward to
uh,
that. Yeah. Let's go. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Next.
Quick
Yeah.
poll for the audience team, if you can just run through a poll so that we can look at some responses on this. So we would like to understand what would be our current biggest GTM challenge today. So my team will just run through a poll on this, and we can see some insights. All right. So it's on in front of you. So we'll take a minute or so.
Got it. And it's just to call it out. Okay. Right. And leads, outbound workflows, tools and integrations, personalizing the outreach and pipeline. Okay. Makes sense.
Mhm. I'm sure, Mani, like 5 years back, things might be very different to what we are seeing today. And it has been just evolving. I
Yeah.
totally see myself doing a lot of spray and pray few years back and getting results, but that doesn't work anymore today. So
Yeah. Yeah.
cool. So let's look at the result, team.
Hmm.
Oh, oops. Oh, exciting. And I think this is in line to what we are seeing the current challenges, and I think more focused on getting the right prospects in terms of pipeline. What do you think,
Hmm.
Mani, with these results? Are you surprised or, uh, you know?
No, no, yeah, look, I can understand why, again, it's a function of the folks in the room, right? So if you, it depends on the perspective of folks, if you go in different functions and roles that they play in an organization. I know some people, if you talk to a CMO or a CRO, they're like, hey, I care about pipeline first and foremost, right? Because they're focused on pipeline, and then there are
Mhm.
folks who are playing different roles in different functions end up worrying about other things. So if you're a demand marketer, growth marketer, you probably care about leads and the quality of the leads that you're able to bring in. If you
Mhm.
are if you are in a sales enablement role, you're all about, hey, how can I make sure my sellers are focused on selling and not consumed with account research and doing a lot of day-to-day mundane tasks, and I would rather have them on the phone than to be dialing and calling. So they probably would care more about the outbound workflows. If you talk to RevOps, if you talk to GTM ops, sales ops, they're always strapped for time, and they will care about integrations and data flowing the right way in the right place. So I think it depends on the organization, pretty much, right? Like, who cares about what? So, and their functional role in the organization.
Yeah.
I think personalization and personalizing outreach at scale seems to be a common theme. So, if anything, as you pointed out earlier, right, the fact that response rates have just dropped like dramatically, and people ignore all the emails coming in and LinkedIn messages coming in, just attention, right, is so hard.
Mhm.
So personalization at outreach at scale seems to resonate with a lot of people. Okay.
Yeah. And some of the general conversation I'm seeing across has been: is email marketing dead? Is
Yeah.
outbound? What do I do next in outbound? I keep
Hmm.
checking a lot of Reddit, and I keep reading a lot of content, especially GTM folks. Uh,
Yeah.
Everyone wants to understand what is the latest things happening because they don't want to feel left out. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
so
for
what we
sure.
have
Yeah.
we have done here is probably we'll want to talk about how things have evolved across in the last few years. Basically, more
Mm.
on the old way of outbound to new way of doing things, right?
Right.
Especially, I'm like I would like to talk a bit more on how things were earlier in terms of running anonymous, traffic and understanding running remarketing ads and how things have changed. Mani, would you
Mm.
like to dwell more on this, being an expert?
Well, look, we're all learning here, right? So, I mean, but let's start there. But I think, yeah, I think you've called out probably things people should care about. So,
Yeah.
if you look at traditional ABM tools, account-based marketing platforms and tools, if you look at, as you said, more some of the more traditional tactics to engaging, bringing in audiences, it has been, you've got your search, pay-per-click ads, and you've got your Google, you've got your LinkedIn ABM ads, you've got your, display advertising for brand awareness and so forth. But looking on the left, let's talk about the old way. The old way, I think you're right. I mean, um, the ability to do very kind of narrow, precisely targeted small segments,
Hmm.
um, and being extremely data driven and having the technology and the tools to do it. You're absolutely right. It was more broader targeting. If I look
Correct.
back at it even a few years ago, you would do companies, you would do some personas, somebody would give you like a broad bucket of an audience that you go target. But what has flipped and what has changed, I think you're calling this out on the right, is basically the idea of signals, and the signals are tied to a person. In the case of in the U.S. market, it can go down to the individual level, and so of course, signal is still at a company level in the rest of the world. But then you can have that even company level signal. You can now find the relevant contacts, right, based on having a set of title keywords, a buying group definition, and then you can basically boil it down to, here are the 5 people or 10 people within that
Hmm.
company you should be really targeting. So I think that the first one to me speaks to that. Um,
Yeah.
the idea of de-anonymizing visitors, I think you're calling that out. We'll talk about that more later as we keep going.
Yeah.
I think next up is you're talking about going beyond just, okay, getting excited about a click, right? We used to just get excited. Hey, man, we get so much in opens, we got so much in clicks, and now it's
Those
like,
days
no,
are
no,
gone
no.
now. Like we are not
Those,
even
those days are
tracking
gone.
them, right? So
Yeah, it's more about responses, right? I mean,
yeah.
are they willing to even tell us?
Yeah.
Um,
Exactly.
are they in market or not? Are they ready to buy or not? I mean, no more getting super excited about those kind of whatever the old metrics. Forget about it, right? It's like you want to know. I reach out to 200 people. How many of them are at least willing to talk to me, or at least give
Absolutely.
me a signal like, hey, yes, I want to talk to you. No, I don't want to talk to you. I'm happy to get any kind of response, right?
Yeah.
Positive, negative, it's fine, but I want to know because I stop bothering you, right? So that to me is interesting. You've gone up and you've gone on and talked about behavioral signals. I think we're going to talk about that a lot more. How about and the nature of a lot of this information becoming more and more real time, more and more enriched, more and more complete,
Hmm.
more API based ways of accessing data as opposed to just sitting at a keyboard and a computer and trying to interact. I think that makes sense. And then I think you've called out so many kinds of signals that are now available. I mean, the world of signals has exploded in the last couple of years. So, but yeah, I think
Absolutely.
I think I
And
think we've got a lot of the key things here. But yeah, keep going.
absolutely. I I still see a lot of companies enriching their data, and they're still very clueless. Like, how do I do it? They want to do it
Yeah.
yearly, 6 months. They're still clueless. They are still struggling with
Mm-hmm.
automation, AI. And when we talk about the latest GTM tech stack, they get very surprised. Uh, I
Mm-hmm.
think it's still an evolving stage where the marketers and GTM specialists are getting more evolved across.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No. No. Fair enough. Yeah.
Cool. So talking about old versus new. So what we thought to put an example on how earlier the GTM orgs were, structured like, and
Mm-hmm.
how things have changed currently. Or I would put it this way: that what is the more smarter way of running GTM org today? Earlier, the team sizes were pretty much more on the focused on being a slightly more specialist into each domain, and today things have evolved. So Mani, what do you think? And having seen a lot of traditional marketing to today in GTM enforcement, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I think what you've called out here, sketched out here, is an early stage SaaS company. As you go, as you said, go up market, 50 million, 100 million, 200 million in revenue. We've gone. We've worked at, certainly on our side. We've worked with all the way from SMB to the lower mid market. And even a few even enterprise customers.
Mm,
Um, but I think the key point, if I can take away from this, is what you're calling out, is that it used to be more functional specialization. Somebody
that's
who's
correct.
good in content marketing versus product marketing versus,
Mm,
demand generation, right? Growth marketing. And then you had people again focused on sales enablement as a specialized function.
mhm.
And the list goes on, but there's a lot of compartmentalization, a lot of, right, different kinds of
Correct.
people who were good in one thing. And then you had a separate media team, which again just manages media spend. And then you've got your external agencies that are building the creatives and so on and so forth. There's a lot of coming together, and I think
Mhm.
you're calling out the challenges with that approach, if you will. So I think let's talk about that first before we
Sure.
go to, okay, how the world is changing. But
And
yeah, back to
and
you.
I have seen, especially the SDR and AE function evolve so much in the last few
Right.
years,
Mhm.
where the responsibility has actually turned around, and they have been started learning so much of tech stack tools, and the responsibilities as well as their KPIs have changed drastically, right?
Right.
Uh, and similarly, if you see, certain roles have actually evolved and now they have been asked to be more efficient in terms of tools and technology. Now today,
Right.
there is not one person doing one thing. It has been across, like, delivering on different KPIs, as I mentioned. So
Correct. Correct. The KPIs are becoming fewer. Hopefully, at least hopefully the leadership is thinking in the right way, that, okay, here is what really matters.
Mhm.
And then they're aligning their team both on the marketing side, sales side, and even in upsell, cross-sell expansion and the customer success side, right? That are the most critical key KPIs. Start with pipeline. Then we talk about, okay, how to generate that pipeline. How do you have the high quality conversations with the right prospects or the right
Mhm.
customers for an expansion opportunity? I think working your way backwards from there. And then to your point, can you have fewer people, but
Mhm.
then they are more versatile? And I know we're going to talk about that more, but I think the key challenges you're calling out here, let's think about it for a second. Are
Mhm.
these do we think, and Sunil, this is a question, I mean, in terms of your experience, what you're seeing across your customers and folks you work with, is this still a challenge today, right? That we're going to talk about AI and how AI is completely upending, transforming, changing how marketing, sales, CS is working, right? GTM is working at B2B orgs. But the question is, are SDRs still struggling with cold outreach? Or how is that changing? We should talk about that. You've
Yeah,
talked about events and poor quality leads from events. And let's
correct.
go on. And yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. I think the answer is two ways. Smart SDRs, I'll put it in that bracket, who are part
Mm,
of modern GTM org, where they have been transformed into more like a GTM role, where they know their tech stack of how do you build your own pipeline. Uh,
mm,
Today we are looking something like this, like where from being a functional specialist, today you are more of a versatile generalist. That's what we strongly believe in, and there are multiple layers of role, from strategist to an architect who is owning the modern GTM tech stack, workflows,
mm,
different processes, as well as
mm,
AE does is not just getting on a call to give a demo, but he's also responsible for different prospecting, streamlining. The
mm,
last part, which is the most interesting, is agencies comes into the picture now, because uh, there are a lot of complexities involved in terms of building different workflows. So I have, in my experience, where companies just getting recently funded, they want to focus on 3 to 4 geographies, and they are not having that capacity to do it everything in house. That is where the
mhm.
scaling mechanism comes into the picture, which is part of their modern, modern GTM org. What do you think on this, Mani?
Oh, I think yes. What I hear over and over again is that um, some of the most incredible, call it uprooting of old ways, is happening for agencies,
Yeah.
right? Because agencies, whether they were a marketing agency or a sales engagement, sales enablement agency, or a media agency, or what have you, they've always operated in a certain way, and that is being completely upended for them. If you look on the media side, a bunch of the media stuff that they were used to doing on their side is now being taken back in-house because now the generalists within the organization are able to do a lot more of that. Whether it's building creatives, building content, dealing with some of the messaging on, which used to be hard to do, so they would outsource it to the agency. But now with a lot of these new AI tools, it's gotten a lot easier.
Mm-hmm.
If you go on to the traditional marketing agencies,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look back at a few years, right? People used to send out these gazillion emails through the marketing automation tools, whether it's a HubSpot or Marketo or what have you.
Yeah.
And a lot of that has, again, is being upended with understanding buyers and buyer intelligence, buyer insights. And then, these are turning out to be smaller number of people being touched and reached through micro campaigns, more on the sales side, primarily from the SDR, BDR team. You might
Mm-hmm.
still do some nurturing, but the nurturing is again becoming very strategic, much more nuanced, right? So I know, for example, people are building even workflows in HubSpot that are much more smaller sets of contacts and much more nuanced. And then there's the general, of course, product updates and newsletters and stuff like that. But I think what I like about this slide, to be honest, is it is hopefully giving CMOs, CROs, and kind of the revenue leaders even a framework of thinking about what should our org look like? What does the
Mm-hmm.
org of the future look like? The idea of GTM strategists, there's a clear role for them. The idea of a GTM architect or architects. Um, you've had traditional revenue operations, right? Marketing ops, sales ops, rev ops. I think we're
Yeah.
kind of rethinking that a little bit if you look at what is going on here.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I mean, GTM ops, GTM engineers. I know, for example, a lot of chatter around that in the last 12 to 15 months, especially with the rise of some of the modern tools for around data and personalization. But no, I can't. I agree with the way we framed it here,
Yeah.
and it is a true fact that who are we not seeing in this picture is we're not
Mm-hmm.
seeing SDRs as prominently thought about
Mm-hmm.
as a standalone function. The piece of the SDR role that is still important is the actual dialing, calling, the human touch, the human relationship that needs to occur from the seller org into the buyer org.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of the other things are being automated the way I think we've got it here.
Yeah, I have a quick question on this. As you speak with a lot of different business leaders, revenue people, as well as CMOs, how easy or difficult it is for them to understand, to shackle up their and come up with a modern GTM org like this, or are they aware the downside of missing it, missing on time and losing a lot of revenue there?
Look, I mean, everybody is busy. Everybody's got a job to do, right? And so, it varies by customer, varies by company, varies by the leader, the leadership.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also part of a very a large community, and a lot of the engagement interaction that I see in that community. There's like 5,500, revenue leaders, marketing leaders, sales leaders in that community. This is actually a big topic of conversation there. They're all trying to figure this out, to be honest, right? We're all learning from each other.
Mm-hmm.
How do you rethink the traditional marketing sales GTM org into this kind of a modern org? What are the skills needed for people in
Mm-hmm.
these different roles that we're calling it out now? What does the new job look like? The job spec look like? Job description look like? There's a lot of conversation happening across all of this, Sunil, to
Yeah.
be honest.
And I just saw the trends in GTM role, the overall movement we are seeing in the last 1 year, and it
Hmm.
has just surged. The whole market has surged, and being a clay partner, also we see, the demand for this role right now is really crazy. And I keep telling and educating uh, any new person who's starting his career in marketing, you have to start understanding how you can become a
Yeah.
GTM if you have a obviously you have an interest in this role. So good
Yeah.
space to be in.
So, Sunil, I know we have a bunch of more slides and content to
Yeah,
get through. How are we doing on time? Are we good?
I think we have few more. We have 10 minutes, so we'll try
Mm,
to operate on that. Cool.
sure.
I think we covered majority of our points on how we are operating here. Uh,
Hmm.
right. I'll probably skip this and talk about
Hmm.
the 2 by 2 metrics, which we have been seeing a lot of changes. We
Mm,
try to create our own thought process on how things were a few
mm,
years back, especially if you look at the complexities of using tools like Six Sense, Demand Base, to how things have changed now, right? Especially now with Quanzu, RB2B coming into the picture, how running a GTM motion with a lot of manual effort to automation has things have changed.
mm,
And obviously using Clay now has become daily part of our system when you're using signals and triggers. uh,
mm.
I would like to know your thoughts on first on the metrics. Also, what do you think Conzo is helping, you know, in this space?
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Obviously, I don't want to make this a pitch session about us. That's really not the intent here.
Sure.
But and let me give credit, where it's due. We were inspired, as you know, Sunil, to create this kind of a 2 by 2 matrix, a grid, to get our arms around what is happening in the world of this new buyer intelligence and signal based tools and technologies, right?
Mhm,
We think of this as a kind of a new category of technology and tools that have come about all in the last couple of years. You've always had the traditional, right, marketing tools, all the way from a marketing automation platform or tool to a CRM, right, to kind of the base systems of record type of tools. And on top of that, you've had the ABM platforms and tools like a Six Sense and Demand Base that
mhm,
are able to give you some company level intelligence and insights, right?
mhm,
And then also do some account based and account targeted advertising. If you kind of try to boil it up, I think they do two or three things well, to be honest, right? And
mhm,
that's really where they bring value to the customer. But what we've always heard about these ABM tools is that, hey, sales doesn't use it much or much at all because it doesn't give them the level of insight about actual people they should be engaging with and prospecting to at target companies, target accounts, be it in the US or be it globally.
mhm,
And so as we looked at this whole signal-based technology and tools landscape, and
mhm,
obviously, Clay also discovered that there's a big opportunity around the signal-based,
mhm,
right? Understanding data, putting data components and pieces together, being able to enrich data, at the field level, attribute level across companies, contacts, and all the signal data around individual companies and people all across the web. They've brought it a lot of it together. So that's why Clay is a wonderful tool. It started originally as a much simpler tool, but now it's much more complex. But so
mhm,
if you look at this 2 by 2, we've tried to kind of put the scale as from statically simply build little segments. Here's a set of
mhm,
accounts, a set of contacts that you can go and reach out to the
mhm,
more dynamic automated segments. Dynamic and automated means as new data keeps flowing in, new signals keep flowing in, you have a way to segment it out, and then you have a way to funnel it into different workflows. That's the
mhm,
idea of the scale going up, saying, and bottom to top, there's actually from fewer signals, you're going to more signals. Then on the left to the right, what we've tried to do is sketch out who is the tool or the technology designed for. So if you look on the left, we're saying if it's a GTM engineer, if it's a RevOps
yes.
person, they're much more technical, much more analytical. They look at things in different way. That's who that's designed for. On the right, it's more the growth marketer, the revenue leader. They're super busy. They're thinking about things in terms more strategically. They're thinking about, okay, I got these 20 different kinds of things I want to be able to run, execute,
Mhm,
and then we're trying to make life easy for them. And that's the whole idea of a simpler set of tools that are more designed for that audience,
mhm,
where you give them an AI prompt type of interface and they can use simple English language prompts to build what we call signal-based segments.
mhm,
So the signal-based segments then can then be pushed into other tools to actually execute highly personalized messages and campaigns to specific narrow niche audiences. So that's the idea of how this is running left to right and top to bottom. And the
mhm,
reason we place certain tools in certain buckets here, take for example, Six Sense and Demand Base. They
yeah.
give you company level signals. In our view, person level signals are more interesting than company level signals. So that's why on the
Mhm,
signal scale they're further down.
mhm,
If you go to the SDR sales rep related tools, whether it's a Outreach, SalesLoft, 11x, from what we have seen today, those tools again don't do much yet in terms of leveraging a lot of the signals that are available in
mhm,
creating those AI powered workflows and messages and so forth. So that hopefully explains the placement of these
yeah.
different tools. And then on, if you look at the Kwanzu, we have, by the way, we have our own tech, and then we have a service offering as a companion.
Mm-hmm.
The tech, one thing we decided was, if we cannot provide the best in class, best of breed signal, we don't even want to go there. So any signals we offer out into the market, we want to make sure it's actually the top notch signal that they can use. So in fact, we have customers using our tech for our website warm lead signal or offsite intent lead signal, so forth. And our website warm lead signal, they found is giving them 10x to 12x as many leads in a 1 week period when they look at an AI SDR tool and they look at, which by the way came with its own signals, website signals, data.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't giving them as much data. So the scale of the data, the resolution that we're able to do on their site, the number of lead records we're giving them, the quality of the lead data, on and on. So I'm just trying to give you a sense, just looking at this
Yeah.
grid, the placement of certain tools and why we said, okay, this is why we want to place a tool there. And by the way, look, it's work in progress. Even for us, it's like, okay, how do we get up the scale to the right? And so the
I
companion service offering for us allows us to, you know, offer the best of other tools, combine it with
Mhm.
our tool, and give them a solution to the problem. But yes, back to you, Sunil.
Yeah, I was just curious on account level versus person level. What
Mm-hmm.
what would you like to comment on the volume versus accuracy right now in this space?
Yeah, so I think there's a, by the way, on company level intelligence and insights, there are other tools. And what I've seen is, yes, people will claim, hopefully the good guys will always give you a range
Yeah.
because it's not going to be one number, right? So
Mhm.
depending on the client, depending on the target prospects they're going after, SMB, mid-market, enterprise, the audiences they're going after, is it IT versus marketing versus finance? If it's B2C, is it in real estate, higher education?
Mhm.
What we found is that, at least for us, I'll give you our numbers. For the person level visitor identity resolution we do, which is one of the 3 or 4 key signals we deliver, we have seen anywhere from 5 to 40%
Okay.
in the US market. For every 100 people coming in, they're able to tell you 5 of those people who they are, or up to 40 of those people who they are.
Understood.
Full
Got it.
contact information. If it is
Mhm.
company level data, again, we've seen, again, it's been 20 to 40 to 40 plus percent.
Okay.
Some people will claim more than that, but
Mhm.
and there are some we know that can go north of that on the company level resolution. And the
Okay.
way they do that is they do what's called waterfall enrichment, where they combine multiple data partners, data providers, right, to
Mhm.
give you a better resolution rate.
Understood. Got it.
Yeah.
I think great insights on this, Mani. I think
Mm.
quickly moving forward, I think the audiences, I believe strongly that they are already aware of the latest signals and triggers in the market.
Mhm.
We use this for our customers, and we see different forms of signals working well for some of them, and we also have seen our own learnings, something not working well. For example, recently funded companies, right, especially companies who are targeting them in North America, we just go after them, build different
Mhm.
signals, and with clay, Konzu factors also, and try to build
Mhm.
our narrative. uh, One more signal which I really personally love is event attendees. We
Mhm.
personalize our message, reaching out to them, and we also invite them for a lunch across finding their
Mhm.
pin codes, so on and so forth. Any particular signals which might be your favorite, Mani?
Well, I mean, it's interesting you asked this question, but by the way, first of all, this is a lot, right?
Yeah,
I mean, it looks easy, but the reality is
yeah,
building out the specific micro campaigns to even do one of these, two of these, five of these. Let's be honest, right? It's still a decent amount of work for customers, and
absolutely.
we find that they need a whole bunch of help, right, to operationalizing a bunch of these.
Yeah.
Um, and then next is, we certainly have found it useful to tier them. So in fact, we've come with a way to tier them. This is tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. So as we go to every customer, we say, hey, let's help you think it through. Let's think about, for your business, your company, which one should you be really focusing on? And then
Mhm.
we do like a monthly strategy call, figure this out, lay out a game plan for the month, and then we go week by week, right? Go execute. Um, since you asked about what's an interesting one that I think perhaps is underappreciated, underutilized, uh, uh, you know, I don't see it here, but it's really just literally LinkedIn company follows and the founder slash CEO follows,
Mm.
and first level connections. I think a
Okay.
lot of companies at early stage companies too, they underutilize just the CEO's own connection network and automating the regular touches to your own
Mm.
friendlies, because they might
Mm.
be willing to help you, but you got to reach out and ask for help, and many
Yeah.
people don't, right?
Yeah.
Um, Referrals from your existing customers, right? So
Mm.
the whole just touch, stay in touch, keep in touch. But the company follows to me is somebody's following a company because they want to know what's happening. They want to know
Yeah.
if you have something new. They want to know about a product update,
Mm.
tech update, some new
Mm.
innovation, some new case
Correct.
study. I feel, many times underutilized. But yeah,
Yeah, and I believe it's already in certain warmed stage that they know about your brand. Uh, that's good to target. One
correct.
more signal: we work with different founders, and we have seen some success when they are reaching out to any prospect, just engaging with them over different
Hmm.
touch points, as you mentioned, and
Yeah.
not being salesy.
Mm,
Just responding and having a valuable chat, and
mm,
just probably just being in touch. That actually works well.
mm. Yeah, and one little tidbit here, because we learned too, through making some mistakes.
Mhm.
Do not ever do AI for AI's sake, right? Do not ever personalize for personalization's sake. You know,
Mm.
People can smell, see AI a mile away,
Correct.
especially depending on the audience these days, right? So anyway, that's
Absolutely.
something I
And
want.
talking about uh, AI, we actually have rolled out some tech stack on we believe, and we also follow a lot of these
Right.
internally, from
Hmm.
data to intent signals, different models. Now these models can also be integrated with clay, the way
Right.
you're building your sequences. We use
Hmm.
heavily our sales engagement tools from SmartLead, Nooks. We are
Hmm.
also an Harich partner, and
Yeah.
we see a lot of success in terms of conversion rate. uh,
Hmm.
yeah, I think when done well, so basically you don't need everything here, but
Hmm.
you need to be make sure that you have a good learning curve, because running an agency, you want to make sure that your team has good materials to running this day in and day out, and
Yeah.
obviously you have a good support from the team. Any
Hmm.
specific tools you're using here, apart from?
No, so we tend to use, as you said, we tend to recommend so a bunch of complementary tools. So I
Mhm.
think that's a longer conversation we can certainly have. But yes, you need at least one to help with some workflow. You need one to do enrichment and personalization, like a Clay. Some customers, instead of Clay, are choosing to go with an AI SDR tool, right?
Mm.
But the common theme is that they need signals, and the signals can come from us. The signals can, as you said, come from our B2B. By the way, we have customers using us with our B2B. The signals that we generate are different. The leads we generate are different. So they
Mm.
use us together, to be honest. Then they use Clay. Many of them are starting to use Clay, but then it's not just Clay. There are other tools that are coming into the market, um, that are again offering different types of signals. But yes,
Mm.
this is a good overall way to think about it and build a stack.
Understood.
Yeah.
Yeah, so why all of this matters, especially when we look at the current tech stack, and it's high time that we can't miss on intent signals and adding that as part of your prospecting strategy. Uh, the more we can do personalization, right? Today, it's not just
Mm-hmm.
about doing it with AI, but one thing we do with our customers is we create a lot of case metrics messaging where we try to understand each persona's problem statement,
Mm-hmm.
their value proposition, as well as how we can help, and we try to create a metrics, and then we give it to AI, or then the content messaging person starts writing messaging across the board. That is the additional value add, the way we approach it. uh, any
Correct.
other thoughts on? I think unified data obviously is something very exciting. What do you think on these, Money?
I think they're all on point, very much. I
Yeah.
mean, one other thing I know is a big struggle for customers across the board is that they call it orchestration. How do I
Mm.
orchestrate? Because I have too many signals, and prioritization. How do I prioritize the right signals
Mm.
so I'm reaching out to the right companies, the right prospects today,
Mm.
right? Because usually the capacity of you being able to reach out is limited, because you may have three mailboxes, five mailboxes, 5 LinkedIn accounts, and each of them has capacity limits. You can send out 20 messages for today, 30 messages. So how do you match capacity on the output side to what you feed in, right? And you're prioritizing the right ones. So I think that prioritization, orchestration, to be honest, it's still early days.
Got it.
People are still trying to figure out how to do it, whether they use Clay, whether they use workflow tool like a Make or a N8N or a Zapier. That's an area I think with a lot of experimentation that's currently going on across customers. But yes.
Got it. Yeah, quickly on the same lines, when you're talking about different trends, what are you most excited for in the second half of 25? Where are you thinking
Yeah.
we are moving? What are your thoughts here?
I think there's been a lot of hype, to be honest, around this whole thing, business of AI agents.
Hmm.
So we are just starting to figure out how to experiment with maybe couple of very simple single use case, single task AI agents, one around website signals, if you will, make it easy for people to just quickly deploy our technology to understand website signals. And then similarly, one very simple AI agent around data enrichment, because people have lots of data enrichment challenges, problems, but they don't want to maybe get a big piece of tech. They want a simple. But I think AI agents and making different kind of AI agents collaborate and work together is going to happen, but it's still early days. So that's, I think, one big trend, if you will. And then I think there'll be continued evolution of all the other tools in all the different areas, from content to SEO to the signal based tech that you're seeing with us or others, and then on the outbound side.
I was just curious, since you mentioned this today, if somebody is starting up their GTM teams with zero infra, right, and zero team, uh, how would you want them to start from? What are the key things they need to be knowing, or what are the mistakes that you might have done you would like to talk about that they should be aware of?
Look, I mean, it's generally understood that for if it's a small organization, as I said, it's still early days of just getting into PMF, product market fit, and starting to grow and scale.
Mhm.
Um, a lot of it is founder-led, brand founder-led selling. So anchoring it around the founder and making the founder super efficient in
Hmm.
terms of how they can amplify their voice is probably a good place to start, right? And there's a bunch of tools to help with that area. Then you can start thinking about, okay, you're ready to go beyond the founder, start having a sales motion. Then you can start thinking about the tools and tech like the ones we are talking about today, the
Right.
signal-based tech. So that comes next. So first, you need some kind of traffic and audience building that happens. Once
Hmm.
some level of audience building that's happened, you can talk about how do I optimize outreach.
Got it.
Yeah.
Great. I think we have few giveaways before we move to our last Q&A section. We are always almost on time. For the
Mhm.
audience, would you like to talk about this? Mani?
Yeah, so we have a 14-day free trial directly on the Quanzu website for people who want to try out the Quanzu's signal-based outbound technology, GTM tech. We do what's called person-level visitor identity resolution, high-quality data. It tells them anywhere from 5 to 40% of their site traffic. So this giveaway is really saying that, hey, get on any of our paid plans, and then we'll make sure you get 10% more credits because it's a credit-based pricing model. It's pretty nominal, 250 a month, 500 a month, and so on. But you get 10% extra credits for the first 90 days.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
I think all the audiences feel free to use the platform. Um,
Mhm.
we would also share a link on the chat so that anyone who's looking for a demo, uh, can look out, fill up the form, and we'll reach out to you.
Yeah.
Along with this, from our side, we are giving a free GTM audit. Please feel free to reach out again on the form, and somebody from the team will reach out to you, and we can have an eventful discussion on what are the good things happening and how we can help you across, and what your competitor might be having an edge on. So we can discuss
Mhm.
all of this, right? Lastly, probably we have a minute or two, but we can quickly ask any
Mhm.
questions, and I'll just, we can just summarize our discussion then.
Yeah.
So I'll just open the forum if there are any questions. So we'll take 30 seconds probably, and then we can get going.
So while we're waiting, Sunil, I'm happy to at least let people know that they're welcome to reach out to me. Through LinkedIn. It's Money, Iyer, Kwanzu, and of course we have the Kwanzu company page. So either way, they can get a hold of me. And my email is money, MANI, at kwanzu.com.
Got it. Few questions I'm seeing right now. Money is, I'll just pick few. One of them was, how soon do we see personal level intent data for countries apart from US? Is there a plan, let's say for APAC, India market? What do you think?
And to be honest, not that I know of. I think those data providers, it's a significant investment for these data providers to be able to offer this type of a person level infrastructure. For example, we have multiple data partners, and they literally are capturing and processing, hundreds of millions of these cookies and device IDs and maids and hems every day. So that scale is very, very hard for them to justify that kind of investment for some of these overseas markets. So I think for the foreseeable future, I think in other markets, it's going to be company level intelligence. And some tools are available that are more mature on the company level scale. And even data providers, I'm talking contact data providers for overseas markets, are few and far in between. I've been advised by many people to say, hey, listen, don't even try to tackle that. It's a whole different ball game. So I would say LinkedIn is going to be the default, approach for many overseas markets. Yeah.
Got it. One of the question is on implementation of Clay plus Kwanzu. So do you have an integration right now on Clay, or are there any plans?
We absolutely integrate with Clay. So we have, if you go to the youtube.com at Kwanzu Marketing, that's the link. You'll find there's a Kwanzu, YouTube channel. And in fact, we have a video that explains our integration with Clay. We also integrate using webhooks, so that it could be any other application or tool. We have native integration with Clay, by the way, into Slack, into Teams, into AWS S3, just a variety, and all the major marketing automation tools. And then I think we've actually come up with a whole process for building these signal-based segments, pushing it into Clay, using our AI Playmaker, simple English language prompts. You could say, build me a segment of the people who are engaging on my site in the last 7 days, who are from financial services firms with over 100 million revenue, who went to my demo page, my pricing page. Type it in English, you get 50 people, push it into Clay, push it into a segment, and then there in Clay, you can add some additional columns, and you can start typing in, hey, first touch message, here's what I want to say, second touch, third touch, fourth touch. We also have, by the full buyer journey detail. Okay. Every single person, every single touch, all the pages they visit, we can also push that into Clay. So we have some pretty rich and deep Clay integration, bottom line.
Exciting. Yeah. Great. I think we do have questions, but I think we are on time today, Mani. And
sure.
I would ask the audience also to connect with Mani for anything regarding these questions on the product. We have also shared the form. So, we look forward to seeing if you guys would be interested to talk to us. Really eventful discussion. Thank you, Mani. Any last notes from your side?
I've really enjoyed it. Great. I know we put in a whole bunch of, you put a bunch of work around putting this presentation together. So thank you for that. And hopefully the folks listening enjoyed the discussion. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mani. Really pleasure. Thank you for watching the podcast till the end. If you like the session, or if you have any feedback, be it critical, positive, do drop a comment in the comment section for us. It really helps us to improve the quality, and we know that what is the content you would really love. Also, do share the content with any of your loved ones. They could, scale up their career, do wonders with a very small insight too. So looking forward to it, and stay tuned for our next session. Thank you.